And welcome to another episode of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast. My name's Tom Bump, and I'm your host. Thanks for joining me, my friends. I am looking forward to this episode. We are getting ready to wrap up this season of 2024 episodes, and we'll be launching some brand new things in 2025. Thanks for listening. We are coming up on over almost 150,000 downloads as we record this episode, and I am so grateful for all of you that have taken the time to say hi and introduce yourself and to tell me about the episodes that you've enjoyed and the guests that you've had enjoyed their interviews. I want to say thank you that you've taken a minute or two to leave us a review or to share the podcast with somebody in another Facebook group. We love it when that happens. So I would love to hear from you. You can always email me at tom@tombump.com. The reason why I do these podcasts is because of you, my ministry friends. Those of you that are serving, whether it's in a small church or a large church or something in between, I just want you to know I'm cheering you on. Having been in your shoes and served as a leader, as a volunteer leader, I understand the aspects of ministry and I understand the challenges of it. And it's what drives me forward is to help you and to encourage you and to tell you that it's okay when things don't go so well and you just feel like quitting, but don't quit. To offer you support and to provide the Restoring Leaders Ministry where you can go and find a safe place to talk. And if you need that and you're in a hard season, please reach out. Go to restoringleaders.org and set up a call. Or for those of you that are saying, you know what, in 2025, I want to grow. I want to do something different. I need a mentor. I want some accountability. I want someone to talk to on a regular basis. I want someone that can encourage me and challenge my growth and push me further. Well, check out kmccoach.net. I'm doing some brand new things in 2025 with the coaching, and I want you to know that what I offer is different than most coaches that are people who call themselves coaches in children's ministry and family ministry. I'm doing something different, and I'm offering packages and programs, or however you want to call it. What I call them is journeys. I'm offering a variety of journeys that any leader can. I'm doing some stuff that most people would not even dare to do. But here's the thing. I'm not going to just throw it out there because I don't know when you might hear this podcast episode, and things always change. But at this point in time, if you're interested in growing as a leader, you want to have a healthy leadership, you want to grow healthy teams, you want to grow healthy ministries that impact your ministry world, I would love to have a chat with you. You can go to kmccoach.net, set up a 30-minute clarity call, and let's talk. I'll show you that you can afford an investment in yourself, and it's one of the greatest things you'll ever do as a leader. Last, if you're looking for a community where you can be known, where you can be encouraged and equipped, where you can have access to coaching and training and encouragement, check out kidminplus.net. It's a community I've built for people that want community, that want something more than Facebook, that want it to be around other leaders who are growing and excelling. And it's a great community, and I love investing there. I'm spending a lot more time there, and I'm excited to see the resources that are coming in 2025. So let me just throw all that out there as we kick off this podcast, because we're going to talk about transformational leadership. And what does that look like? This is important. I know where I transformed as a leader. I can truly tell you, it was the time where I finally said, I'm going to make an investment. I'm going to spend some money. I'm going to invest some capital, some budgeted, some right out of my own pocket, because I wanted to be a different kind of leader. I wanted my team to see something more, because I knew that God had given me this huge why for being in ministry. And I knew that I couldn't do it alone. I needed some help. I've gone to all the conferences. I'd read all the books. And I'd come home and I would struggle and wrestle. and not even sure what to do next. And not everybody shared my enthusiasm. You ever been there? Yeah, there's a lot of challenges when we're facing in ministry. And there's no doubt that ministry has changed dramatically post-COVID. And leaders are struggling, and leaders are feeling more isolated and alone. But I want to tell you, I'm also hearing about amazing churches that are bursting at the seams and children's ministries that are growing. In fact, they're growing so much that that's created challenges for leaders because they've got to get new space and they've got to get more volunteers and they got to figure out what's the best model for us to operate in. Then there's that balancing of life and leadership. And how do we do all of that? I wanted to figure those things out. And where things transformed for me in my mind and in my heart was when I hired my coach. I really got to give Jim Weidman full credit. He turned my thinking around, helped me get comfortable in my skin, and it was a game changer. And it's why I coach today. It's because of Jim challenging me to be a coach, challenging me to pour into other leaders. That's why I do what I do. I love serving leaders, and I want to leave a legacy of multiplying the passion and the drive that God has given me into more and more leaders. So let's talk about what it looks like for transformational leadership. What's that look like for you and me? Well, to me, transformational leadership is inspiring and equipping others to make a lasting impact. How did it change me getting a coach and understanding different things and becoming more of an intentional kids pastor? Well, it started when I really got clear on my why. Even John Maxwell says that the key idea in transformational leadership starts with your why. So, why do you lead? Why do you specifically lead children's ministry? Why do you lead your teams? Why do you lead and minister to parents? I would challenge you to write those whys down. Think about it. Because you're going to need that why when the seasons get challenging, when you start to consider whether you're wanting to quit or give up. I want to challenge you to think about those kind of things on a regular basis. They will help you clarify and focus your purpose and your mission. Transformational leadership starts with leading yourself. Self-leadership is the foundation of all that you do. If you don't lead yourself well, everything else is going to fall. And John Maxwell has said it many, many times. Everything rises and falls with leadership. There's the law of the lid, meaning that you can't lead past your own capacity if you don't continue to push your capacity higher. If you don't get intentional with it, you'll never push it higher. Some people wonder, why isn't my team growing? Why isn't my ministry growing? Because God isn't going to give you more than you can handle with it. And he's not going to bless you with more if you're not ready for it. And so how you lead yourself sets yourself up for growth. And this takes being intentional and consistent. Little steps over long periods of time will produce far more than just running ahead. So I want to challenge you. How are you leading yourself? How's your relationship with Jesus today versus at the beginning of 2024 or a month ago, whenever you're listening to this podcast, 6 months ago? How's your prayer life? How's your rest? How many unused days off do you have? I've said it a million times on this podcast. I'm tired of people talking about how worn out and how crazy burnout and how just overwhelmed. We're talking about these things like they're a badge of honor. My friends, they're not a badge of honor. If you go to a ministry conference and that's all you can talk about is how tired and worn out you are and how relieved you are to be away from everything, there's a problem. You need to do a heart check. You probably need to talk to somebody, whether it's me or whether it's a counselor. We need those things, and you and I need those things. I needed those things. My counselor was a gift from heaven because he walked with me and talked with me and let me share things and ask me questions and help me lead myself in a better way. I learned to practice solitude, silence, and stillness. I schedule shut up and listen days on my calendar, and they are non-negotiable appointments. If somebody says, "Hey, can we meet at this such a time?" No, sorry, I've got an appointment. That's all I have to say. I guard those things. I guard my days off. I guard my vacation times because I have to lead myself well. You know why? Because my team is watching me. Those kids are watching me. And I want to give them my very best, and I know you do too. So keep practicing those things. If you don't, I want to challenge you to start blocking time for renewal, for refocus, for rest, and for asking God for that vision that He wants you to do. Second part of transformational leadership is this idea of empowering your team. You want to equip and inspire your team to grow in what they do. Help them become better small group leaders, better leaders of leaders, better people who supply all the supplies, better check-in people and first impressions people. You want to empower them and encourage them to be the very best they can be. You can't do that without planning for it. So what's your plan to help your team grow to be the best leaders they can be? I want to challenge you to think about what can you do in small, consistent ways. Is it a short text message every week? Is it recording a 5-minute video? Is it having a 10-minute huddle before each service? Is it having a quarterly meeting and lunch and doing some skill building and some vision casting? You know, vision leaks. So does passion. And the reason why people become passionless is because nobody has poured into them more and encouraged them to have more passion and to be excited about what they do. You have to keep sharing the changes and the impacts that they're having, because if you're not telling them about what God is doing, they're going to start thinking that all they're doing is babysitting, that what they do doesn't really matter, and they'll quit. Or if you don't take time to know them, or at least someone on your team doesn't take time to know them, then they're going to feel very unloved and uncared for, and they're not going to stay on the team. They're going to quit you. So I want to challenge you to become transformational and intentional in this area by making sure that every person on your team has someone checking up on them. You may need to have a chief encouragement officer, somebody on your team that's their role, is to go around and encourage people, love them, care for them, check up on them, and ask them how they're doing. Start creating that culture of growth and excitement where little things are celebrated. When people show up early, celebrate it. When they come to a training or reply to a text, celebrate it. When you hear a story of how their small group got so caught up and lost track of time because of this one activity was just helping them dive into a deeper discussion on a spiritual truth, celebrate it. Listen, it's important that we create these cultures of growth where people know that if they're faithful in the little, we're going to give them more. That we see it and we reward it. And we let them know what a blessing it is to add to this. Now, I know there's obstacles to all of this. There's obstacles to becoming a transformational leadership. So what do? Well, we have to make sure that we're not resisting change. Change is going to happen, my friends. Things are going to change. And we have to figure out how to become welcoming and have a resolve to accept the change and adapt with the change, to grow it inside of us. We also have to resist losing our joy, breaking down on our disciplines, because that's where the burnout comes. When we start getting cynical, when we start creating us versus them mentalities, when we start feeling like everyone's against us and that nobody cares as much as we do, we have to be careful. And the only way we're going to overcome the obstacles and the challenges is to have a mindset of determination and adaptability. We've got to get excited and curious about new things. So, how do you overcome obstacles and that prevent you from being a transformational leader? Well, you figure out what that obstacle is, and then you think, what is the most creative thing I can do to overcome this? And go do it. It may be off the wall and out of your comfort zone, but you know what? I have found that at those times, that's when God shows up and shows me something that is transformational, all the way to my heart. So I want to challenge you to think about what are some of those things that you and your team can do to become transformational leaders. So let me wrap this up by going over these couple of things. First, you got to get clear on your why. You got to lead yourself well. You got to empower your team. You got to cultivate a growth-focused culture. And you got to tackle the obstacles with faith and creativity. What's one step? What's one thing that you can do this week to begin transforming you and your ministry? I would love for you to share that. If you're part of the Kid Ministry Collective Facebook group, share it in the post where this podcast is shared. Or email me at tom@tombump.com and tell me. And listen, if you feel stuck, if you're concerned, if this makes you anxious, I would love to serve you. I would love to come alongside of you and help you become a transformational leader. I'd like to walk with you for a few months in a coaching journey, a mentoring journey, where we can transform your leadership. I've had the honor of working with a lot of great leaders recently, and I would love to serve you. I don't care whether you've just started in ministry or you've been in ministry for 15 or 20 years. I didn't get my first coach until I'd been in ministry for over 15 years. Now it's been 37 years. I love what we get to do. Serve the King. Reach children with the gospel of Jesus Christ. All right, my friends, that's going to wrap up this episode of the Kids Ministry Collective podcast. Go and be transformed. Go and make an impact greater than you have ever made. And let's see what God does with it. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for another episode real soon.